All right, you guys. I'm so excited to share this with you because I've actually never gone through this information quite the way that I'm going to go through it with you right now. So I'm kind of excited to see what comes up, even for me, because we talk about EMPHORY is the operating system, i.e., Christ consciousness. It's not just a state of mind; it's actually an entire different way of functioning in life. And so anyway, EMPHORY has 36 principles and 12 practices. And we go through all of those principles that kind of separate the difference between our human and our spirit, or the external world or the internal world, right? But I've never actually taken it and directly applied each of the principles to how it relates to money. So I'm super excited to do this. And as I was going through them, I decided that I wasn't going to do every single one. I was just going to pick the bigger ones that impact us. Maybe the most, as far as like deciphering through how do we do this thing called money with greater ease. And so anyway, I'm not doing all 36. I'm just doing probably about 10 of them. And it would take a way long time. And I just wanted to give you guys just just something that you can palate with a little bit more ease, because trying to ingest all 36 of them might be a lot. So we're just going to stick to some of the real basic ones. So the first one, physical and non-physical. How does this apply to money? There's physical money, there's dollars, or there's credit that even though it's not, even though we don't see credit, it's still physically a part of our experience, right? If I buy something on credit, I have to pay the money back. That's the physical. Now, the non-physical aspect of it is, how do we see it? How do we perceive it? How do we experience money, right? So for example, one person might say, oh, here's $100 bill. That's the scene, right? The physical aspect of it. Now, the non-physical aspect of it is, one person might go, $100 bill? And somebody else might go, yeah, $100 bill, right? That's the difference in how we think about it, right? So there is this aspect of the physical. I need to budget. It costs this much money to buy a car. It costs this much money to buy a house. And the non-physical, the mindset behind it, right? Okay. Limited and unlimited. Okay. At any given point in time, we have a limited amount of resources. Even a billionaire has a limited amount of resources, $1 billion, right? The aspect of how much he has to physically spend, or she has to physically spend, is the limitedness of money, right? If somebody says, oh, hey, will you cut down my trees? Sure. How much dollars does that cost? What's the limit of what I'm going to pay for something? What's the limit of what I'm going to allow my bank account to go below? Now, on the spirit side, it's unlimited. The amount of money that you can make is unlimited. Even a billionaire is like, let's get more. Let's make more. Why? Well, because then we have more to give. We have more to build. We have more to create, right? So it's unlimited in our potential of what's possible for us at any given time in our mindset of what we can create, right? It's not like there's a physical limitation to, oh, you only get to have like $25 in your lifetime, right? It's unlimited. And the fact that it comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes, right? So a billionaire might have actually had $40 billion move through their possession, right? Unlimited. But they're limited to, oh, I have $1 billion in the bank right now. right? And let me back up a little bit because I don't know if I actually, if you haven't watched all of the recordings for the actual like classes, all of a sudden I'm like, maybe they don't even understand what I'm talking about. Oh, right. In order to really have money with ease, um, and it's not just manifest money, but it's actually create the experience of money to flow through you, which means if you don't have it, it's not a problem because you know you're going to create it, right? um, in order to live financially free, we have to incorporate the spiritual part and the physical part. We can't just focus on the physical part. We can't just focus on the spiritual part. We have to have both aspects of money in order for money to come to us with ease or flow through us with ease or to live financially free, i.e., no fear in having it, not having it, right? So that's why we're talking about these aspects and what we have to really ingest and understand in order for that result of financial freedom to actually be experienced for us, right? So we're talking about what are those elements of the non-physical, the spiritual, what are those aspects of the physical, the human aspects of it, right? So, tangible and intangible. I like this one because this one's got a little flair to it. Okay, here it comes. There's tangible dollars, i.e., dollar bills. I have this many dollar bills. I'm going to write a check for this many dollars for my rent, whatever. There's that physical aspect of it. Believe it or not, and I did kind of talk about how even credit was in the physical aspect before because you have to pay it back. It res, it res, it it resembles? No. It represents. It represents something that you purchase, right? So it's in the physical. However, there is this aspect of credit and the money in your account to be somewhat on the spiritual side because you have to trust that if you put it in the bank that you'll get it back because it's not a dollar for dollar. Like when you put your physical dollar in the bank, they don't take your physical dollar and put it in a safe so that when you want your physical dollar back, you get your physical dollar, right? It goes into this imaginary space called the numbers that are in an account, right? That's how we can transfer $100 from one person to another. That actually is a little bit of the physical aspect. When you have debt, you're trusting yourself to be able to pay it back because you don't have the physical dollars right now, right? So that's kind of that tangible and intangible, right? The intangible is, well, I don't really see it. I can't really touch it. But I know it's there. And that, believe it or not, is trusting that spiritual side of it not being tangible that you can trust. And so even recognizing that you creating debt is you trusting your spirit to spirit being the part of you that is the 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 power behind what you do, right? I trust myself to pay it back. I trust myself to make the monthly payments. I trust myself to take care of the thing that I haven't even paid for yet, right? So there's that element of bringing in the spirit with the tangible, right? The intangible of the spirit, the tangible of the human, and bringing those together. And when you do that, right, now I'm more financially free because I can buy something on credit, but I'm not fearful that I have debt. Yes. Do you see how when the two come together, it creates that freedom? Cool. Okay. Different and same. So in the physical or in the human part of us, it's different. From the spirit side of us, it's the same. So money is money is money is money is money. It's money, it's money. $100 bill is $100 bill, a penny is a penny. How we experience that, however, is different, right? So I love telling this story because it's so profound. Well, maybe it's only profound to me, but I love telling the story and I'm the storyteller right now. So here we go. I had a client that came to me and she's like, I have money issues. I'm really struggling. Okay, cool. Now, my money issues at the time, this was probably 7 years ago. So at the time, my money issues were, I don't have enough, right? So when she comes to me for money issues, I'm thinking she doesn't have enough. Well, the way she's talking to me is she doesn't have enough, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, I totally get this. We can talk through this not having enough, right? Well, then it turns out that in her everyday checking account, guys, everyday checking account, she has $100,000. I've never had $100,000 in a checking account, let alone my everyday checking account. The one that's like, I'm going to write a check for a soda. That's an everyday checking account, right? So she tells me, right, if it goes under $100,000, I freak out. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she has plenty of money, right? But what it did for me was it allowed me to shift my understanding of money, right? It allowed me to see that her experience of $100,000 is not the same as my experience, because my checking account was clearly under $100,000, but I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't afraid. I didn't have a visceral experience of worry or anxiety because my checking account was under $100,000. So see, $100,000 is $100,000 is $100,000. But how I would have experienced that $100,000 in my checking account was very different than how she was experiencing the $100,000 in her checking account. And when we're focusing on that not enoughness, oh my gosh, if it goes under $100,000, I'm going to start freaking out. That's when we can swing over to the side of, okay, same, same. Like money is money is money, whether I see it or I don't see it, whether it's tangible or intangible, whether I have it yet or it's coming, it's all the same. Money is money is money is money is money. It's all the same. So now I can not freak out over not having enough because I'm like, oh, well, it's coming, right? Because it's the same as far as either I have it or I don't have it. Well, but it's still the same in spirit, right? So bringing in that aspect of the spirit and going, okay, well, I know it's coming for when I need it. Yes. Okay, conditional and unconditional. I love this one. Money and having it is unconditional. It doesn't matter if you're Mother Teresa or if you're a sex trafficker. It doesn't matter if you're a drug dealer or a preacher, right? The physical laws of the universe say it doesn't matter who you are. If you focus on having it, you can. Right? Where it's conditional is, what condition do I think I need to be in order to receive said money? That's different, right? What condition do I have to be in order to receive it? Do I have to be good enough? Do I have to be perfect? Do I have to get it right? Do I have to work really hard? Do I have to be do people have to be pleased with me? What are the conditions that I can receive? Ooh, do I have to be valuable enough for it? Do you see? That's the conditional aspect of money. So if you're focusing too much over here, go over here. If, however, you're like, well, God's just going to give me whatever because God's God's the one that takes care of it and he's unconditional love, and if he wants to give it to me, well, now we're too much on the side of it being airy fairy and up to somebody, not me, right? I need to go back on the side of conditional. No. What's the condition? Well, I focus on it. Okay. Well, I focus on it. Now I can receive it. Yeah. Okay. Pattern and choice. Without choice, you will always fall into your patterns. I know, it's too simple. If I was raised in an environment where debt caused me to have stress and I haven't worked out how to manage my stress, I will always create debt in order to have the stress. So if I get some lump sum of money and now I'm at peace and I don't know how to manage peace versus stress, I will want to revert back to that old feeling of stress. Therefore, I'll go out and I'll create more debt. Whatever the pattern is that you were conditioned with in your life is the pattern you will always stay in and revert to until you decide to choose to do something different. Now, you can address this externally or internally, first or second. In order to have financial freedom, you always have to do both. But maybe you go, okay, I can't align with somebody who can be debt free. So I'm just going to set up something in my physical where I make sure I'm paying down my debt and not creating more. Right? You're working on the physical. Or you can go, you know what? I'm going to look at my debt every day and eliminate the stress of it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to feel the stress. And I'm going to go, nope. And deal with whatever practice you use for eliminating stress, right? You can do either one, but you have to eventually do both in order for financial freedom to take hold. Okay. Pattern choice. This is another one of my favorites. So I remember for a long time, excuse me while I get a little sippy sip. I remember for a long time, I loved the parable of the talents. And I would come back to it and I would come back to it. Now, I didn't entirely understand it, but I loved it. So I would come back and I would study it and I'd go, I don't really get it. I don't really get it. Right. Because there was a lot, and I'm not going to get into it here because this is supposed to be a really quick video. So I'm not going to get into it, but the biggest part was the ending where it says, to those that have, more will be given. And to those that don't have, even what they have will be taken away. And I'm like, how can you have something if you don't have something? How can you have something if you don't have something? I don't like, that doesn't make any sense. It's basically saying the words, to those that have, or to those that don't have, even what they have. But if you don't have it, how do you have something? Right. And that confused me so bad until EMPHORY, where we're separating the human and the spirit. To those that have in the physical, but they don't realize they have it, right? So to those that don't have in their awareness of it, even what they have, the thing that they actually have that they're not aware that they have, will get taken away, right? And so when we recognize this financial freedom is where the two come together and meet. Now I can go, okay, my spirit already has it, right? Because we talked about that in the intangible and the unlimited, right? Well, it's not physically there and it's unlimited. I can make more and it comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes. I already have it. My spirit already has it. The capacity to get it is already there in me as the power on my spirit side, right? And now my awareness of what I already have allows me to feel confident and secure in whatever shows up around me. Now my human has the desire and the want for more because that's the energy of creation, right? But if I'm wanting without the having, it feels yucky. It feels like lack. It feels like I need something to feel okay. And if I'm having without the wanting, now I get complacent. right? It's the bringing the two together in the having and the wanting at the same time. I love that one. All right. So doing and being, doing and being, doing and being. Being is on the spirit side, doing is on the human side. And I kind of alluded to this just a few principles ago. This idea that if I'm being somebody who is rich, I will do and experience different out here, right? If I'm being somebody who is rich and there comes a car, we'll say, oh my gosh, I really want that car. As somebody who is already rich without the tangible dollars, I go, what can I do to have the dollars to create that? That might be just get a loan, right? And again, on my spirit side, if I trust that I can pay it off because I'm already rich, I'm already one that creates dollars, then I have no problem getting a loan. Maybe it's, ooh, hey, I'm going to sell my other car and buy that car. It's still the doing of something from the place of I'm rich and there's no problem. I just have to navigate what I'm doing, right? If, however, I'm not being rich, I'm being poor, then that car comes along and I go, oh, I'll probably never have that car, right? Because I'm not being the thing that I want to express outside of me, right? And so my doing, right? If I'm poor, I'm not even trying to get a loan. I'm not even having the awareness of selling my old car and getting a new car. Why? Because I'm living in the identity of the poor that can't have anyway. Yeah. So when I'm being rich, I act differently. I do differently. Yes. Now, that might mean I go, oh, I really want that car. I'm going to start saving some money. Now my doing becomes the saving. Why? Well, because I know I can have it because I'm rich. It's just a matter of how am I going to have it? That's the doing. That was juicy. All right. Love that one. Destiny and free will. Destiny and free will. Let's go back to my client with $100,000 in her checking account. Destiny will always supersede free will. Excuse me. Destiny will always supersede free will. What does that mean? If I came to the planet to, excuse me, sorry guys. If I came to the planet to be a millionaire, I'll be a millionaire. I can't do anything to not be a millionaire. My experience of it, however, may get jacked up. Here's what I mean by that. So I was watching something, and I will leave names out to protect the guilty. And there was a mega superstar talking about how they were in between roles and their family was starving. Mega superstar. Their family was starving. Probably a millionaire. Probably a millionaire. Living in the lack of a role, right? Because they were in between roles. Now my family's starving because we don't have any money. Do you get that? Because I was in between roles, right? Millionaire. Destiny of being a millionaire. The experience, however, the free will of where your focus is. The focus was I was in between roles. I'm only something. I'm only rich. I'm only valuable if I'm in a role. So when I'm in between roles, I don't have any money. I'm starving. Do you guys get that? The free will is what do I want to look at? What do I want to focus on? Destiny is destiny. What you want to focus on creates your free will. Your free will creates your experience. Good stuff. All right. Structure and flow. Structure being on the human side, flow being on the spirit side. money's always in flow, right? And again, we talked about this earlier. Money's coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. That's the beauty of it. It's supposed to. That's why they call it currency. It's always in flow, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. However, if you don't structure it well, it'll come and you'll blow it. It'll come and you'll blow it. And then you never have the experience of a nice car because it came and you spent it on something silly, right? There has to be the structure of maybe budgeting, the structure of not I was going to say not being impulsive, but well, yeah, let's take it back to choice and or pattern and choice, right? Maybe you don't follow the old pattern of, oh, I get it. And now I go out to dinner and I buy a bunch of clothes and I just spend it. But you actually allow it to come in. You choose what you want to spend it on, right? And then you're spending it, but you're spending it through choice instead of just blowing it and then going, oh my gosh, where's my money? Now you're back in this place of lack because you forgot. Well, it'll come back, it'll flow back to you. You just have to keep your focus on allowing the flow to come to you. Yes? So good. This is so good. All right. I love this conversation, you guys. Again, that was just 10 of the principles and how they apply to money specifically. What's really cool is you can take all of those principles and you can apply them to different parts of your life. And it will increase those different parts of your life if, however, you take these principles and you apply them to your identity, everything rises. Everything rises. Your money rises. Your relationships rise. Your business rises. Your opportunities rise. Everything, right? So we took these principles and we applied them specifically to money. But again, think about how can I apply this to my identity and who I be as 100% spirit, 100% human, right? That's the shifting of the operating system. All right, you guys, super excited. If this ignited you and you're like, wait a minute, I totally see the value of this, I'm geeking out, reach out, send a message to us, send an email to us, ask how you can learn more about this or take one of our 40-day courses where you get to dive into your identity of it. Anyway, if this is fun for you, reach out. Let's connect you to some more juiciness. All right. Take care, guys.